You may have seen this video from Jen Hamilton, America's favorite L&D nurse, about legislation pending in North Carolina, which would define legal personhood at the beginning of fertilization and make any interference with that process punishable by death. It's hard to fully capture the layers of horror in this bill, HB 1232, but Jen Hamilton does a pretty great job of it.
So this bill establishes life at fertilization, that is when the sperm enters the egg, and criminalizes by death the act of interfering with that process. I have an IUD, which does not prohibit fertilization but does prohibit implantation. That new human life is recognized by the state as an individual person entitled to the protection of laws of the state from the moment of fertilization to the moment of natural death. Any person who willfully seeks to destroy the life of another person by any means at any stage of life, or succeeds in doing so, shall be held accountable for attempted murder or for first-degree murder, respectively. I'm not done. Here's a part you're going to feel like is made up. This bill allows you to murder people who you think are going to do that.
Even putting aside the many issues with making any form of abortion punishable by death and supporting a weird kind of vigilante murder, it's also bonkers to define personhood beginning at fertilization. Because fertilized eggs fail to implant all of the time. This is what happens when lawmakers try to legislate pregnancy without even understanding how pregnancy works. Pregnancy doesn't begin the moment that sperm meets an egg. There is an entire biological process that has to happen afterward. A fertilized egg must travel, develop, and successfully implant in the uterus before a pregnancy can even be established. That's basic reproductive biology, I fear. If legal personhood begins at fertilization, what happens if a pregnancy ends before implantation? What about ectopic pregnancies? What about miscarriage care? What happens when doctors are forced to consult lawyers before providing medical treatment because the law is based on ideology rather than medical science? These aren't hypothetical concerns. We've already seen confusion and delays in care across the country when legislation is written by people who don't understand fertility, pregnancy, miscarriage, and maternal health. When laws ignore biological realities, women and families are the ones left to deal with the consequences. And while it's important that we don't ignore the threat of HB 1232, I do want to take a moment to talk about what it does look like when people who do understand pregnancy and maternal health propose legislation, people who are actually pro-life. That brings me to another piece of legislation moving through the very same North Carolina legislature, the Bump Act, SB 909, which focuses on improving maternal health and supporting pregnant people by providing free education on miscarriage prevention.
Bump Act can help make this happen. Count the Kicks saved my son's life. It gave me the tools and data I needed to advocate for myself and for my baby. I don't want to imagine what could have happened if I had not started counting at 28 weeks like my childbirth course had recommended. Every mom, every family in North Carolina deserves to have the same information that I was lucky enough to find in my own research.
We should all be able to agree that the people writing laws about pregnancy should understand pregnancy. And legislation should reflect medical reality. If we spent more time listening to doctors and patients, perhaps we could actually do something to help avoid the 2 babies born still in North Carolina each and every day.